Good day, ladies and gentlemen. This is Daniel Umstead, host of the RNG radio show. I'm really excited about my next guest. I'm about to jump into his bio real quick, but the importance of this show is in regards to marketing your business. So without further ado, my next guest, he has been raised in the back rooms of his family's small business. He became obsessed with the brick-and-mortar entrepreneurialism of the Midwest and the idealism of the American small business owner. Now, that obsession would blossom into a career as a media and marketing consultant at the dawn of online video. So after stretching his legs in the corporate world for nearly a decade, my guest returned to his own entrepreneurial passions, founding the growth strategy firm GroHaus in 2020. So this is in the middle of the pandemic, folks, so there's going to be some great gems. So I hope you're listening. GroHaus has filled the gaps, or I should say what it does is fill the gaps between do-it-yourself marketing and hiring an expensive full-service marketing agency. Their hands-on coaching and consulting programs provide hyper-personalized engagements that meet their clients wherever they are in their marketing journey. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, the CEO, growth strategist, Drew Donaldson of GroHaus. How are you doing today, Drew?
I'm doing great, Daniel. How are you?
I'm superb, man, superb. So I want to hop right into it. Tell us a story, man. You've been doing corporate world for, nearly a decade. And it's like, what got you thinking like, all right, there's something missing. I need to start GroHaus. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. So I fell into consulting kind of backwards. I never really set out in my career to be like, oh, I'm going to be a consultant, right? I didn't go to Harvard or MIT. I don't have an MBA or anything like that. And I certainly never applied for positions at McKinsey or Bain or anything like any of those firms. The way I got into consulting was I was running a production studio when I was about 22 years old. And I was serving small businesses that were just getting their legs online in terms of putting video online. So this is pre-TikTok, pre-Instagram. This is, YouTube was it. That was the only option out there for small business video. And people were really confused as to how to use this new medium. And so what I realized was if I wanted to sell video, I had to do as much education on the power of video and how to use video than I did actually selling it. And I did this for free for years. I would have these long consultative sessions with clients who had bought my products or were interested in buying my products. And I would break down like, all right, so we're going to do this video, and here's the reason why we're going to do it this way. And we're going to structure it this way, and here's the reason why. And now we're going to do 5 videos, and here's the reason why we're doing 5 and not 1. And so we would have these long sessions, and at the end of one, a client who was a good friend of mine, we'd worked together for a number of years at that point. He said, you should start charging for this. And I kind of brushed it off, and I was like, yeah, and he's like, no, I'm serious. Like, this is really valuable. Like we pay consultants tons of money for a lot less information than you're giving me just in these little hour, 2 hour long phone calls, that I just thought was good customer service. I just thought, well, hey, listen, if you're buying something from me, the least I can do is tell you how it works. Right. Like, can you imagine buying a car for the first time and the salesman doesn't even tell you like where to stick the key? Like, like going out of my way to have those conversations didn't feel like going out of my way. It just felt like part of the sales process. And when he said that, that was the first kind of light bulb moment. And at the same time, I was really getting frustrated with the production world because it's just the people that want to hire you or that can hire you when you're a new production company are the people that value what you do the least. So you're constantly in this tug of war of trying to wrestle these clients into trusting you enough to let you execute on a vision and still paying you for the privilege to do so. So it was kind of a good moment where I started looking around. I started saying, is this really what I want to do? And I decided no. I decided I did not want to run a production studio anymore. So we closed the studio and I started looking for roles where I could start transitioning into marketing. And I found one, there was a university in New York that was trying to get away from their hiring agencies to produce all their video. They wanted to insource it. And because I had built a studio myself, I was an obvious choice for the role because I was like, well, listen, I already did it once. I can do it twice. Like, it's not a big deal. I shut the business down, not because I was like, oh, this is never going to work. I was just frustrated with it. I didn't want to do it. It wasn't fun anymore.
Gotcha.
So I started doing, I did that for several years. I then jumped into pharmaceuticals briefly and did some work for Pfizer and Genentech and those type of companies. Thermo Fisher on the biotech side. Then I did my longest consulting stint was about 5 years at a publisher in New York. And at the end of that road, I was beaten down. Like I learned to really hate corporate consulting, because corporate consulting, you know, in a nutshell, if you've never done it before, is you spend 3 months working on a PowerPoint that you'll spend 20 minutes presenting to people staring at their cell phones, and then have the handout you so lovingly printed out thrown in the trash on their way out, right? And that's your whole job. Just add and repeat every single week, day in, day out. And even when you're doing really cool things, the people that are paying you really could not care less, because you're just a line item on a bunch of line items that they have to worry about. And so your impact as a consultant is minimal, right? Maybe the work, if you're working at a large firm and you look at the impact 70 different consultants are having on a business, it's like, okay, that's more noticeable. But as a solo consultant working in a business, yeah, I had a $4 million product pipeline that I was in charge of. I had thousands of contact records that in a database that I was in charge of and was managing and optimizing. But none of that really mattered when that $3 million book of business was 1% or 0.1% of the larger business's fiscal picture, right?
Yeah.
So at the end of that, it just kind of, as the pandemic, or right before the pandemic, actually, I said, you know, I really need to get out of this. I think I only have a year left in me doing this before I'm just not gonna want to do it anymore. So January, before the pandemic hit, I started GroHaus. And I started it with the idea of taking these systems and operations, these marketing strategies, these process, all of that I had been training corporate America for the last half decade, and bringing those to small businesses that actually could use them. Because growing up in small businesses, the number one thing small business owners suffer from is disorganization, right? They don't have enough hands to do all the work it takes to start a business. And that's why so many businesses fail, because they try to do everything themselves. So I was like, well, if I can take these systems and I can teach people how to use them, that will free up their time, that will let them grow their business, right? And so that was the intention behind GroHaus. GroHaus was something that was going to be affordable for small business owners. It was going to be month to month. There wasn't going to be a long contract. You weren't going to have to hire me for a year or 6 months or anything. It was going to be, everything was going to be month to month. And the goal of it was going to be not doing fancy marketing campaigns, not doing flashy promotion. No, it was just growth. That's the only thing I cared about. All the other stuff can go to the wayside. The only thing I care about is, did you make more money this month than you did last month? That's it. And so when you break it down into those terms, it becomes very attractive. Unfortunately, January 2020 is just about the worst time to start a business, except maybe like back in like 85 or 86, whenever the Black Friday was, or Black Monday was, or like in the 1920s when the stock market really crashed. So it was the worst. It was the worst time. So what I ended up doing was I coasted the rest of that year with my consulting gig, and I kind of had this on the back burner. I would take calls with clients, but no one was really biting. That end of that year, right around Thanksgiving, I was leaving. I decided I was done, left that organization, and I was looking for what I want to do, and I really wanted to pour more effort into this. Coincidentally, I ran into 2 other agency owners that were trying the exact same model. And so we decided, hey, instead of working against each other, instead of, you know, trying to outbid each other for the same market, why don't we bring our ideas together and we'll form a company. So we ran the company together for a year. After a year of their support, you know, initial uplift, they came to me in March of this year and said, we want to go on to other things. Would you want to buy us out of our portion of the business? Which I happily accepted. Bought them, you know, we negotiated for 30 days. I bought them out April 1st, and I've since run GroHaus as it was initially intended. So it really, what we provide is the strategy, coaching, and consulting that business owners of all sizes really need. But the people we tend to focus on are entrepreneurs that are stuck at the $10,000 plateau, right? $10,000 is about as much as you can make on your own. So we help people get over that plateau and go on to 20, 30, 40, $50,000 months. So that's really kind of our sweet spot. So I know it's a lot. So
no. I'm definitely going to pick apart because I was taking some notes. So this 10,000 plateau, because, a lot of people may think like, is this 10,000 monthly? Is this 10,000 weekly, 10,000 annually?
monthly.
When you say it is what?
Monthly.
Monthly. Okay. And with your business, with GroHaus, are these same individuals who are doing it 10,000 monthly, scaling up to 20 to 30, are they still building a team, or are you showing them how to scale to get to 20K, 30K still on their own?
So the reality is you shouldn't be looking to hire anyone at any size until you have a repeatable business model that you can teach other people. And by business model, I don't mean we sell X product to X audience. What I'm talking about is, what is every step of your customer acquisition process, your customer service process? What do you do when things go right? What do you do when things go wrong? What do you do when you need to renegotiate a contract? All of those things you need to have a really good handle on before you ever bring a new person into your business. Because, and this is the other mistake business owners make. Business owners, they hit that $10,000 wall and they're like, I can't grow. Like, I need to make more money. I'm burning the candle at both ends, but there's not enough. I need someone to do this. And they figure out whatever this is. Maybe it's an executive assistant to manage their calendar, or maybe it's a marketing assistant to come and run Facebook ads, or whatever it is, right? They hire that person. They now invest thousands of dollars in this person, assuming they're hiring someone from the States, an executive assistant, a marketing assistant. You're probably gonna have to pay them 50 grand a year, right? So if you look at 50 grand a year, you've just cut your revenue in half. If you're making $10,000 a month, right? How long can you sustain that? Can you live on, as the entrepreneur, as the person putting 90% of the effort into the business, can you survive on 50,000? No. So what most people do is they try this, they realize they can't survive on it, and then they have to let the person go. And now they're back on the hamster wheel. They're right back where they started. The problem is, the reason why they don't have time is because they're disorganized and they're not systematized. They started this business because they loved what they do, but they didn't fully conceptualize every piece in the process. And now they're trying to bring someone in to pick up the slack to give them the opportunity to grow. But they spend more time training this person, retraining them every time they change their process. And that person never is able to succeed. So they get frustrated and either leave, or, like I said before, the person runs out of money. Yeah. It's been a year. The business has not grown. I can't take another, $50,000 head cut, cut out of my profit next year. I'm going to have to let you go. Right. So that's really that's the sticky point. And that's why we focus so much on systems and processes early on, so that they can go and hire people and actually give them a playbook and say, this is how we run the business.
Love that. Love that. And there was a methodology that I came across on your bio and profile for folks at home. Need to go to GroHaus.com. The market Shepard methodology. Can you explain that as far as, what folks should be looking at, or when they do come across that term?
So just real quick, it's GroHaus.org, not .com.
GroHaus.org. I knew that.
GROHAUS.
I was just making sure you were aware of that. I mean, I know. Yeah, listening. Making sure you got you on your toes. So GroHaus.org. Make sure you guys check out the link in the comments.
So the Shepard methodology is something that I realized after working with hundreds of clients that fall into this exact same situation, that there's really 3 areas that they need the most help in. And those are their story, their offer, and their paid media strategy. Now, a lot can be said, we can talk about all the different marketing tactics out there, but the reality is that if you are at $10,000 a month or less, the only 3 things that should matter to you in terms of marketing, besides referrals, which is, kind of a given, word of mouth advertising, best advertising there is, the only 3 things you should be worried about is telling an unbelievable story, presenting an unbelievable offer, and having a ad strategy that supports those 2 things. So that's the 3 elements that are usually missing. And so the Shepard methodology is really a guided walk through those 3. So first thing, your story. Every business has a story. I have had so many clients come to me and say, my business is boring. We don't have a story. We're accountants, right? And then as I dig and I say, why did you become an accountant? Oh, well, I really like numbers and math when I was a kid. But, you know, actually, there was an accountant that lived next door to me when I was a kid, and he got to testify in front of Congress. And I thought that was really cool, right? It's like, okay, well, that's kind of unique.
Pretty cool
right?
story.
So how did that now affect you? Well, that's actually why I went into forensic accounting, because I really thought it was kind of interesting. Like, I wanted to be in court, and like, I just thought that was interesting, right? So now I take something that's as boring as numbers on paper and say, well, no, there's a story there. Let's evolve that story so that when you go and tell somebody, not only do you come across as authentic because your story resonates with them, they can see why you got to where you are, but it also then supports all of your other marketing efforts. One of the campaigns I'm running right now, and if I look familiar, you probably saw me on TikTok because we got a big TikTok buy going on right now. The thing that I really present in those ads is that I am not flashy, I am down to earth, and I'm authentic. I've had 15 prospect calls this week, and each of them said, you know, the reason I reached out to you, because you just seem like a normal guy. All the other marketers out there seem like weirdos, and you just seem like a normal.
Flashy pizzazz.
Yeah, I literally, there's no music on my ad. There's no flashy cuts. There's not even on-screen text. It's me going, are you stuck at the $10,000 threshold?
Right.
Do you want help fixing it? Right? Here's what I've done for 3 other clients. If you're interested in crossing that chasm, if you're interested in getting help, you should book time on my calendar and I'll help you get there. Right? It's very straightforward, because part of my story is I don't like the flashiness. I don't like the big, I'm a fundamentals guy, right? Because fundamentals will never steer you wrong. That's why copywriting books that were written 30 years ago still work today, because it's fundamental. It's human behavior. It's Maslow. It's the basics of human psychology. So I don't practice this like flash in the pan type marketing that some guys do, that like you'll hire them for a month and it'll do great, and then all of a sudden it's like the leads dry up. No. I'm looking for sustainable growth. So like, that's part of my story. And because I can tell that story, and I can tell it fluidly, and I can tell why I got into this business and why I'm passionate about small businesses and not big businesses, or vice versa if you're on the other side of the fence, I can very easily convince a client that I'm going to be the right choice for them, because they can see their story in me. That's why I got into my business, because I was passionate about it. I'm just a normal guy like him, right? So your story is not something that you should sleep on. It's really the thing that you should start with when you're marketing. Your offer is a direct offshoot of that. So your offer is just a way to tell that's the punchline of your story, essentially. Here's my story. Here's what I decided to do. This is the thing. The offer needs to be crafted. As much as your story is about you and who you are, the offer is about your client. Right? It's about what their pains are. It's about what their fears are. It's about what their needs are, what they want out of this engagement. So when you're looking at the offer, it's almost like the mirror image of the story, right? One's about you, one's about them. Those 2 things alone, if you fix those 2 things, you can be successful with just organic reach and referrals. I promise you. But it takes a long time, especially with all these platforms hammering you down. So that's where the paid media strategy comes in. Knowing how to run your own paid media I'm sorry, but it's not something you should ever hire a person to do until you know how to do it yourself. I'm not saying you have to be an ads master, but if you've never run a Facebook campaign, the last thing you should do is go and hire someone to run Facebook campaigns for you, because you're going to have no idea how are they working? Are they working well? Do you need to increase your budget, decrease your budget, change creative? You're going to have no concept. And so you're going to be relying on this person that it has a vested interest in keeping you on and keeping you paying money to tell you what's going on with the ads. So the only way you'll know if it's successful is if meetings start popping on your calendar, or items start flying off your shelves. That's it. If you're not seeing that, which, let's face it, 80% of the time, that's what's going to happen.
Right.
You're not going to be able to approach them with the knowledge and go, this ad isn't working, this ad, we need to change this creative, we need to change this target. You're not going to know, because you never walked that road. So that's why that's why we focus on those 3 things, because if you don't have those 3 things in place, nothing else matters. It doesn't matter how cool your branding package is, or what your domain is, or what your SEO is, or how cool your content is. If those three things aren't in place, your business will never be able to scale the way you want it to.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that. And a lot of folks will tend to do that. I mean, I definitely was, even for myself, getting started, just throwing money at Facebook. I'm pretty sure, Mark Zuckerberg was very happy to see, like, oh, Mr. Umstead spent some money today. But, at the end of the day, if you're not in that process, if you're not hands-on with it, you can't delegate that to somebody brand new. We talked about TikTok, social media, GroHaus.org. Where can folks actually find you at on social media? Or I should say, what is the best way folks can find you or get in contact with you?
Sure. So I'm sure you can put like the links in the show notes or
everything. Yeah, they will be below, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
If you're listening, they will be below, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, I will be perfectly honest. I'm not a big social media junkie. I'm not someone that posts content all the time. I really should. My assistant is cracking the whip on me to create more of it. But the best way to reach me, the best way to kind of is just to book a call with me. I do free coaching every single day. You're not taking advantage of me by booking a free call. And the other thing is that I don't do a big sales pitch. It's not like one of these other firms that you probably dealt with when you're talking to marketers, where you get hired with an SDR and the SDR asks you a bunch of probing questions. I don't like any of that, so I don't do any of it. I'm just going to ask you about your business and give you my opinion on what I think I would change to help you fix it. So if that sounds like a pretty good way to spend 45 minutes, then I would say go to my website, book a free coaching call, and let's get to it.
Awesome. Now, for the folks out there who are listening, and most folks hear free consultation, 45 minutes. This ideal person, or I should say, describing this ideal person that is going on your website, who are they? Who is this client that that is going to be successful, that's coming on this website, that's booking this call with you and setting up this strategy consultation with you?
So there's really three types of people that I work best with. I work with early stage entrepreneurs. We have an amazing group coaching program. We meet 4 times a week. It's only $99 a month. I mean, the amount of information you will get out of those sessions is honestly life-changing. We've had clients go from that program to now running 6-figure businesses. And it's really because they show up, they hang out, they get the information, they go and apply it throughout the week. And because we're meeting practically every single day, their growth is so much more what's the right word, consistent, so much more consistent than if they were trying to do it themselves in the fits and starts, which is how most entrepreneurs go. So that's the first thing. If you're an early stage entrepreneur, you don't got a big budget, but you're willing to cut out one Uber Eats meal a week, like sign up for our group coaching. It's easily the best group coaching program in marketing in the world. So that's the first thing. The second group, which is my primary group, is if you already have a successful business, you are at that 10 or 20K plateau. 10K is where most people, some people run into it a little later because their ticket price is a little higher. Mm-hmm. If you're at that plateau and you're trying to make that leap to the 50K, 100K months that we all want, right? I just had a client say to me the other day, and I thought it was genius. I can't take a vacation until I make 7 figures. And like, if you actually think about it, there's some truth to that, right? Because in order for him to really take a vacation, not to take a vacation where you're doing this all the time, right?
Right.
A real vacation where this
like, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. I got to take this call.
Exactly. You don't want that. You want a vacation where you can actually relax. You have to have a team that can support all of what you're doing. And in order to afford that, you need to be making close to 7 figures a year. So that's the end goal that I try to get people to, is that you're stuck here, but you don't have to be. You don't have to burn the candle at both ends. You just need the systems and practice and fundamentals to get you to that next level. The third group is probably my smallest group of clients. I do have several clients in here. They hire me as a CMO. So they hire me as a marketing leader to come in and help run their marketing organization when they don't have, maybe they don't have a person in place right now. Maybe they're in a search and they just need someone to fill in for a few months. So I do fractional CMO work for a number of organizations too. So those are really the 3 groups of people I help. Okay. But I'm willing to talk to anybody. I have talked to people that run the weirdest businesses you could ever imagine, and I love it. It's my favorite thing. I had a client once say to me, he's like, I don't know how to tell you this, but your other clients are weird. I was like, yeah, isn't it great?
Right. We're all unique.
He's like, I don't mean that negatively, but he's like, they're all over the place. Like, you have this guy and he's selling real estate in Texas, and then this person over here is making clothes for cats, and then this person is a psychic, and then this person is, and all of these people are running successful businesses, and you don't realize how many of ththese businesses exist until you sit in my seat, and then you're like, holy cow. Like, I just had a client sign up this morning. He has he's like a UFO researcher kind of guy, and he's discovered these what he is saying are alien artifacts from the Mexican desert, the Tula Desert, and he's NFTized the ownership of these artifacts. So you can buy a share of the artifact that he's hoping will sell at auction for a lot of money, and then you get the dividend on that sale, right? Would you ever have thought that was a business?
Never at all. I mean, you
Never.
hear about these guys, you know, that are following UFOs or out there, but to make money off said business, not at all.
No,
not at all. Not in the least bit.
So like there is nothing there's no business out there that I will turn down and not help, with the exception of like Vice. I don't do anything with like strip clubs or casinos or stuff like that, just because in all honesty, it's a different market. That's not really what my focus is. I really work best with service-based businesses and product-based businesses that are already at that 10K road. Things like casinos and strip clubs and that kind of, it's just a whole different part of marketing that I'm just not really interested in. So unfortunately, if that's your business, I'm not going to be
turn off the interview now.
But I'd love to hear your weird, crazy business. It's my favorite part of the day.
Awesome. Now, as mentioned before, we're 2022 for the folks that are listening and watching right now. You know, and being started in this, you know, you had the merger with the other two folks, and then, you know, bought them out, and then you have your own business. Throughout it all, like, what has been like your greatest success for a company that you've worked with, you know, I guess from them starting to work with you and where they're currently at right now?
So I'll give you two.
Okay.
One, and the reason I'll give you two is because one was with a large organization. So even though the number is impressive, it's not nearly as impressive when you consider like their scale. So when I was working for the university, when I was consulting with them, this is back in 2015-ish. No, it wasn't 20. It was way before. It was like 2013 or 2012. One of the things we were able to do was we insourced $250,000 in lost revenue by building that video department inside. Right.
Wow.
That occurred over the course of a quarter, and with the video team and department we put together, we then won awards at the same ad show that the big advertising agency, and we won more awards. So the big advertising agency that we pulled all this work from, they were in the same competition for the same client, and we won more awards by insourcing all this. So not only did we save them $250,000 in a quarter, but we were able to really show that you didn't need an agency to do agency quality work. You just needed a team of really amazing people behind it who had inspiration and creativity and like could really execute. And my the team there really was the backbone of that success. Okay. The other story, which is much more recent, this is from earlier this summer. Okay. And this is one of my favorite stories because when I tell people that what I'm going for with them is life-changing differences in the amount of money they're making, right? Life-changing improvements. That sounds very like, you know, it's not real, right? It sounds make-believe. But this is a story of real life-changing. So I had a client, she is a retired teacher. And when I say retired, I don't mean retired in that she's like 50 or 60 years old. She just got out of the teaching field, right? She wanted to do educational consulting. She had been trying to sell her, you know, coaching program for teachers for a couple years and had never really been able to crack the $2,000 a month mark, and nothing was really clicking. I started working with her, I think, in the beginning of May, and by June 1st, she launched her new webinar that we had put together, and she had a $10,000 week. $10,000 week, 30 days after starting with us.
Folks, if you didn't hear already, go to GroHaus.org right now, and that's HAUS. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm taking the subliminal messages as well. So I'm doing the. Can you give us that website one more time for us, Drew? So folks can listen.
GroHaus.org. That's going to be the best place to find us. There is a big gold button right when you get to the page. You can book a free call with us, or you can sign up for coaching right on the page if you want. But show up, book the session. Like, I love talking to people. I don't, I'll talk to you. I'll talk your ear off about your business as long as you like. So, book the call. I look forward to talking to all your friends and my new friends.
Love it, love it. And I do want to ask you one more question. Actually, two questions. The first one is the future of marketing. You know, I know you've been doing this for a while. The year is 2022. What do you see in like 2032 happening? Like, we're still like in early stages of YouTube. You know, all they say like, oh, a number of billion of videos have been watched today, or millions have been uploaded. But where do you see like the future of marketing like in the next 10 years?
So if I was going to place some bets, I would place money in AR versus VR. I think VR at the time, it's a half-cooked cake. The opportunities there are limited at the moment, right? You have people have to go and invest in equipment to go play this. They have to have open space. There's a lot of people that are just never going to put the goggles on. My wife gets dizzy when she wears those goggles, so she's not going to be a member. AR is very exciting, and people sleep on it because they don't understand it. They don't understand how it's different from VR. But the potential, the only thing I need to tell you about the potential of AR is look at Pokemon Go. Pokemon Go turned into a phenomenon, and that was an AR-driven experience from the get-go. And I thought when that popped off that we were going to enter a new world of AR, and it seemed like we were. It seemed like we had gotten something, because then Minecraft developed their AR version, and some other people, you know, IKEA now has an AR where you can see furniture, and it's very cool. Things were starting to move, and then VR came about. And because VR is flashy, and because that's what the kids are into, and that's like the new console, that kind of stole a lot of the thunder from AR. But from a, meat and bones marketing perspective, AR has far more potential, because the applications of AR extend outside of the home, right? I have smart glasses on. Imagine the real estate throughout a 24-hour period of the day of wearing those glasses. Right? Obviously not 24, but like, let's say, 18-hour day if you sleep for 6 hours a night, right? Mm-hmm. That's an 18-hour window to advertise to people in a way that is truly personalized, that is localized to where they are in the moment. Like, AR holds the promise of all the things marketers have dreamed about for decades. But because it's not sexy, because it's utilitarian, because you're never going to get a AAA game on an AR headset, people are sleeping on it. But that, I really think, is where the future of marketing tech is going to be, in those experiences, because I think the Google Glass experiment, even though it failed, that's the future. I really don't think, I think VR, will always be a novelty type instrument, right?
Oh yeah, it'll be like along with the PlayStations and the Xbox.
It doesn't mean it's not important, right?
Right. It's
Xbox, just Microsoft make billions of dollars on video games, but it's never going to replace like going and visiting grandmas or like physically going to a live concert. Like, it's always going to be a poor comparison to the real thing. Whereas AR, it literally is augmenting our reality. It's adding onto it. It's adding new things. The movie that I think has a great view of it is that the new guy, the one with Ryan Reynolds. with he's a NPC that becomes aware he's in,
Free
in a
Guy.
video game. Free Guy. Yeah, Free Guy. It's a goofy movie. It's just like a silly action movie, but the glasses in that really do show that kind of potential of how many layers can you stack on top of our reality. That is very exciting to me as a marketer. That's where I really want to get to, because if I have a flower shop that's a client and I can ping someone when they're walking in the direction of the flower shop that, hey, your wife's birthday is next week. Imagine the power there. Like, obviously, privacy and all that stuff is important, and that's
the notifications will be set up, but that's
potential is amazing.
And what is it? What Maps direction? Waze has it, or Google Maps. If you're driving in a certain direction, they tell you, hey, Starbucks is right up the street. You need to get a cup of coffee. But even as the concerts that you mentioned, you're putting this on, you're getting history as far as maybe the artists and everything like that, or maybe seeing like the current population. So yeah, I'm definitely for that. I'm like a nerd over here, like saying like, hey, we could do this, we could do this, and we could do this. So no, absolutely love it, man. My last question for you, because typically we usually hold these interviews for like 20, 30 minutes, but the information you gave, man, it's just gem after gem. Some solid gems, speaking of gems, some solid gems for folks to run with. You've been doing this business for a while. How do you overcome challenges and obstacles with your business, or even the companies and clients that you work with? How do you help them overcome obstacles, or help them overcome their obstacles and hurdles that they come across?
So I think there's two answers there. I think for my clients, the mindset you have, and I know everybody talks about mindset, and I will say 90% of people that talk about mindset don't know what they're talking about. But the reality is that having a positive, future-looking mindset is the greatest asset you can have when faced with challenges in your business. Unfortunately, I had a business recently come to me that were just about to shut down, and they were not going to be a good client for me, not because I don't want to help them, but because they couldn't, their money was better spent closing out this business and finishing than it would be to pay me to help them do that. It didn't make sense to me to bring them on as a client. That conversation I had, though, was not about, man, this sucks, like it's gonna be terrible and you're gonna have to sell and you're gonna look like a fool and all this. That's already going on inside the business owner's head. My whole conversation was, well, what are you gonna do next? What's the opportunity in this? Yeah, your business failed and you've been running this business for 10 years and it hurts. And that is terrible. And I'm sure you feel miserable about it. But where's the silver lining? What is the sense of optimism? What is the opportunity that lies in wait, right? Now you have 10 years in this industry running for a solid 10 years, a successful company. Yeah, you got some bad breaks. The company had to shut down. No one's going to remember that. They're going to remember the 10 years you did it successfully. So how can we now leverage those 10 years into something better? Well, you don't want to start the same business. You don't want to be in the same industry. Okay, that's fine. But what else did you learn in that experience? Maybe you got really good at systems and processes, right? Like maybe you figured out the marketing and you want to become a marketer for this industry. The thing is to always keep the opportunity of each of these challenges in mind, right? What is this challenge that you're facing now? What is the opportunity it's opening up? Whenever I lose a client, which, listen, I'm not perfect. Clients, sometimes people sign up and we're not a good fit, compatibility wise, or, their goals for the business are just things that I can't help them reach, right? They need a much higher investment. They need a much higher touch than I'd be able to provide, even in one-on-one coaching. In those scenarios, I don't look at the empty spots on my calendar as a negative when I have to take them off the calendar. I look at them as, now I opened up 4 spots a month for a new client to come in that I can't help, right? So I could play the pity party all I want about like, oh, this client's leaving, bummer. Like, I don't think about that at all. I think, all right, that's fine. They're choosing what's best for them. What's best for me is to keep that spot open until I can put a really great client in it and meet with them every week. So mindset is the big thing that leads the charge with everything else. Good planning, good systems, good processes, and keeping notes are the other part of it, right? That's all like that's the background of like, if you need to overcome challenges, don't do it in a chaotic whirlwind fashion. Like, plan it out. Okay, this is what the challenge is. This is how we're going to overcome it. You don't know how to overcome it? All right, write down your best try. What's your best idea how to overcome it? If your challenge is that if you don't make $5,000 by the end of this month, right? It's December 1st. You don't make $5,000 at the end of this month, you have to lay off a staff member, right? I don't have an answer for you right away, but I got a million things we can try, right? So write it down. This is what we're going to try. Try it for a couple of days. If it's not hitting, go back to the drawing board, try something else. But if you're not writing it down, if you're just all over the place, you're never going to, A, you're not going to know what works, and B, you're never going to be focused enough on one thing to let it play out and see if it's actually going to be successful.
Love that, man. Love it. Drew, once again, man, I really appreciate your time coming on to the show. Definitely want to do a follow-up with you. Evan, you come back on, talk about more success. But in the meanwhile, folks, if you haven't already, stop the interview, go to GroHaus.org so you can book this session right away with Drew. But Drew, thank you again for your time, man, and I'll be talking with you soon.
Looking forward to it, man. It was a pleasure talking to you today, and I look forward to talking to you again.
Awesome. Thank you for tuning in to the RNG Radio Show. Be sure to like and subscribe for more episodes and future content. If you'd like to learn more, visit us at danielumstead.com. Stay blessed, my fellow millionaires.